an installation of transformed personal ephemera by Susan Apak. Memory Project Part 2, SHREDS, addresses issues of memory by laying bare my tug-of-war with an overabundance of saved and collected materials that document my 60-plus years of life experience. Memories are stored in shreds of letters and documents. Photos are woven into tapestries of remembrance. The process of transformation is a celebration of my story and at the same time a reckoning that the past is ephemeral. Class photos. I remember in 5th grade I changed my name to Bobby with an IE, but only in school. My report card from that time reflected how I had become a distracted kid. Partway into the year, I moved to a different neighborhood and a new school where I was no longer the only Jewish kid. By the end of that school year, my grades improved, I was even popular, and I forgot about being Bobby, which was my brother's name anyway. Girl Scouts. I remember a group of us watching one of my friend's mothers cook dinner for her family. She made sloppy joes with ground beef, something my mother never made, so it was a novelty. But it didn't seem right to earn a cooking badge just for that, since we didn't get to cook anything ourselves. Camp Happy Hollow. I remember that my whole bunk of preteen girls moved in with the younger girls to take care of them because their counselor had been abruptly fired before anyone could say goodbye. We all liked her, and she left a sorrowful farewell letter. Rumor had it that her boyfriend visited and they were caught kissing. Letters from Camp Friends. I remember being lonely and confused about who I was, especially when I got home from the intense communal experiences of summers away from my parents. Letters from camp friends who were going through the same adolescent angst were really a comfort. Wedding number 1. I remember that most of my first husband's relatives didn't show up to the wedding because his Catholic priest uncle objected to his nephew marrying someone Jewish. It was surprising since they said they were coming when I met them just weeks before. Yet oddly, his long-estranged older brother did show up and was totally charming, as if he hadn't been gone for years. IUD. I remember when my mother's male gynecologist was inserting my IUD, my second IUD actually, and he said to me with disdain that he would never put one of these into his daughter. At that time, I was really angry about the way he did that, but years later, when I had a hard time getting pregnant, I wondered if it had anything to do with that IUD. George letters. I remember walking hand in hand around Washington Square and Rockefeller Center, bonding over how George shared my father's name, and they both dealt with Hodgkin's disease. When I visited him in Wisconsin, we walked around Lake Mendota, a proud symbol of his native Madison. Eventually, we lost touch, and I recently learned that illness had returned, and his beloved lake was where he chose to end his life. Wedding number 2. I remember that when Dad died 2 weeks before my second wedding, we decided to not cancel, but instead to scale back the celebration. Many close friends and family who had confirmed that they were coming were essentially uninvited at the last minute. However, some did attend a small service we had the night before. Sonograms. I remembered the pain of ovarian cysts and the need for sonograms when they occurred. I'm not sure why I have those films. I also wonder when sonograms during my 3 rounds of unsuccessful IVF in vitro fertilization attempts. I wasn't offered those films, but they did give me photos of the potential embryos. I wish they hadn't. Calendars and notebooks. I remember getting a new monthly pocket notebook and calendar every year. Sometimes I even splurged on a moleskin. I filled those pages with my very busy life of art, theater, friends, work, community events, family events. I still use them, but the pages are not nearly as full as they once were. I remember commuting from New Jersey to Manhattan for work. When I freelanced, before it made sense to purchase monthly passes, I used 10-trip tickets, which conductors punched to verify each ride. The idea that each conductor had their particular shape punch fascinated me. I wonder if they still use them. Shreds of memory bottles. I remember I did giveaway, an art action I staged in graduate school about letting go of the past in order to more easily move on with my new work. I set up a table with remnants of previous sculptural projects and I asked people to adopt them. Similarly, with this project, over 40 years after a dead giveaway, I enlisted help from visitors to the exhibition by inviting them to remove a bottle of shreds from the shelf and take it away with them.